Hey guys, John here from FlyMyComfort.com here today with Steph right there knitting because we are stuck in Marion, Kansas on a little bit of a weather delay. And I thought today was a perfect opportunity as we are stuck here in this lovely little, not quite FBO, but a, I don't know, airport building of sorts.
Pilot's Lounge.
Pilot Lounge, there we go, that's the idea. Knitting Lounge, as Steph has so made it. We're gonna tell you kind of the things that we look for when we show up to a place like this, whether it's during the day or at night. We showed up and we couldn't get the fuel pump to work. And so what steps do you go when you can't get fuel, you don't know where to go, you don't know where to stay? How do you basically survive an overnight in, well, in the middle of Kansas? So for starters, how we came to be stuck here? Well, that gas pump decided to not work. The card reader screen was totally blank. So what do? Well, you come in here to this little building, right? And when you first show up with all this cold wind, well, you walk up to the door, and whenever you see a door like this at an airport, the code, well, this one says it's the CTAF for 43 kilo, where we are at. That's super handy that there's a sticker on there that tells you that. But for the most part, these codes, any code around an airport is probably going to be the CTAF or possibly the AWOS or ASOS frequency or the runway combination. Maybe runway 1129 is the only runway at the airport, or that's the main paved runway. So it could be that. It could be something like 1215, you know, for guard frequency. It could be 1234. So just use some common sense. What could it possibly be? And try all those different codes, try to get in. Once you finally get in here, well, there's a few things to look for, right? One of those things is, say you need to get into town. Well, they've got a car outside. That car right outside there says Marion on it, says airport courtesy car on the other side. But any white Impala or Crown Vic or any old police car looking vehicle, any old municipal looking vehicle that could have been, you know, tossed out by some municipality and given to the airport, that's probably the crew car. Now, where are you gonna find the keys for it? Well, you probably find the keys either inside in the gas tank, possibly as soon as you come in here, you start seeing cabinets like this. Now, if the cabinet's locked, you use some common sense. Go through the drawers in the cabinets, try to find the key to it. Common sense, besides just looking in the cabinets, you could be looking underneath this little piece of carpet here for a key, because that makes sense. That's where somebody would leave a key, underneath this mat, underneath the fire extinguisher. But it's not locked. And in here we have a switch to actually turn on the fuel pump. So we tried that, but it still didn't work. Bummer. It says switches bypass doesn't work anyways, so that's really helpful. Next step is probably start making some phone calls, right? So how do you figure out who to call? Well, you can look up the main airport manager phone number. You can look on the board here. There's some numbers to call. That's awesome. You could always call the non-emergency number for the local police station. We are in tiny town, Kansas. This is a tiny little town. When we were in town, everyone knew we weren't from here because they know everyone who is from here, and they kept asking where we're from. So yeah, if you get a hold of somebody like the non-emergency number for police, they're gonna know who to call for the airport because it's probably their brother. Other things you can do, you can look at the board for other phone numbers. Now, you see something like this, that's from 2009, probably not super helpful. Stuff like this, that's from 2017 or expired, not really helpful. But stuff like this that looks a little bit more professional, up to date, maybe this doctor guy knows something about this airport and who to call to make the fuel work. And can we crash here the night on the couch, or how can we find the keys to the courtesy car? Or this guy, you know, he's got an airplane, maybe it's hangared here or in the nearby area. He's obviously been to this airport to post his for sale sign, and so call him. Maybe he knows who to call if you can't find any numbers, or say you don't have internet access and the only phone you got is this little phone here. You can also do something like go walk around the building. So you take a walk around the building, you see what kind of utilities you have. You obviously have electrical outlets. Maybe they work, maybe they don't. You should be smart enough to press the reset button. If it doesn't work, hopefully that'll make it work. You've got, looks like air conditioning. Looks like we've got possibly some sort of heat because we've got gas going in the building. We have a propane tank right there. And looks like we've got telephone, possibly internet. And we've got, of course, electricity coming in the building. So that's what we got to work with. Now, well, being stuck here isn't the end of the world because, hey, after all, we have, you know, couches to sleep on and we have a thermostat that is set comfortably and all that. Well, we would like to get out of here, and we're looking at weather and we're trying to make some sense of it. So one of the best things you can do after looking at all this weather, I can look at, you know, SkyVector here, and SkyVector is an awesome resource. So what's so great about SkyVector is it's going to give me this nice 3D picture of what's going on in the area around here, right? So we've got where we are at, which is Marion, Kansas. Just outside of here, we got Kansas City International. We flew past yesterday, and we're trying to get down over towards Albuquerque. So I've got the TAF, I can mouse over everything. I can see what's going on currently. You know, I can see clear skies here in VFR. I can see marginal and overcast skies around here. Awesome quick 3D picture that tells me, hey, if you can just get down south and just get out to this area, this looks a lot better. But still, they're calling it 340-13, gust 21. And the biggest problem I'm having with this whole thing going on right now is when I look at Windy, which is another awesome weather forecasting tool, and I look at the surface prog of what's going on. If we go and see what's going on right now on this surface prog, we can see where we're at in Kansas is right where this warm front's meeting this cold front with this low pressure system, really closely spaced isobars, just this nasty October weather hanging out around Kansas, around these plain states, really flat land, and probably a whole lot of wind. Not really too psyched about it. And I look at what's going to happen as time goes on. I look into tomorrow and can see, well, hey, by tomorrow, that gets a lot more organized. The cold front overtakes the warm front, pushes it all out, crappy weather around here. But we are right here in Kansas, and we're going to have a pretty good shot over to Albuquerque, minus, you know, some wind, but pretty much high pressure dominating the area, should be clear skies. A little trough there, kind of concerned about, but overall pretty good. And Windy is showing me a similar thing, right? We are right here in Kansas, right in this trough, right in this weird section of this nasty hurricane, and this is surface winds. So take note when you're using something like Windy, surface winds are kind of conservative. It's every bit of 25 to 30 knots out there right now. Trying to taxi the airplane, it almost wants to tip over, and I was having a hard time getting out and actually getting it tied down before it weather vaned and spun around on me, being a tailwheel airplane. So we can see green is about 20-ish knots. It's every bit of 30 right here. So if I go up just a little bit to 300 feet, that might be more realistic for surface winds we experienced at airports in nice wide open spaces, and it does show it's a little bit stronger. And then of course, we can keep scaling this up to see what the winds aloft are doing. And this is a great way to see what the winds aloft are doing. Plus, it's a forecast for wind, so I can go ahead and drag out here, check what's happening tomorrow, and we can see Friday, a lot of that stuff's moving out to the east, better weather around where we are at. Still windy, but hopefully everything's looking consistently better weather. So here's another big trick that I'm going to be using. While we're here, I can look at all that stuff. That's great. You know, we've got some slow dial-up Wi-Fi here. And remember, one of the ways I knew we had internet here was because we had that phone line coming in here, plus we've got self-serve fuel. Not that it was really working for us, but that card reader should be plugged into the internet somehow to run your credit card. And at the other end of the airport, we've got a couple guys working on an air tractor. Now, an air tractor is a crop dusting airplane. So what's so great about a crop dusting airplane, and they're working on it, is these guys make their living flying that airplane. They've probably been around here a while. They're based out of here. They got their hangar here to do maintenance. They've experienced this sort of weather a whole lot. I know how to really judge weather super well in Florida based on what the prog chart says. That's where most of my flying is. I've flown out west plenty, but I haven't spent years living out here. So I just don't really know. And looking at all that stuff on the computer, I still have an idea, but I don't really know. It doesn't give me the warmest fuzzy feeling to say I could take off right now and it won't get any worse. I really can't say that. I don't know if it's going to stay the same or not get any worse. I don't know if it's going to get better. So what I can do is walk down there and talk to some local guys that obviously are flying low, flying in bad weather because they got to make money. So they got to go fly their air tractor and spray crops. They're flying low, contact flying. They know the terrain around here. They're used to what the winds are like at 200 feet, 500 feet above the ground for sure. They're used to flying in 1,000-foot ceilings. They can tell me a whole lot of information. They probably have a whole lot of experience. And it's the kind of pilot they are. So seeing guys like that here, super awesome. We'll go chat with them. If we just saw some transient guys, we could talk to them, but they may not be able to give us, quite as much information. So hopefully that gives you a little idea of what to do when you show up to an airport and you get weathered out or you get stuck somewhere, whether it's daytime, nighttime, you're trying to get to a hotel, whatever. Also, small hotels are better. So when you're looking for a place to go, like last night we were looking for, hey, where can we make it before dark? And we said, oh, Marion, Kansas. They don't have a Holiday Inn, they don't have a Hilton, but they've got this tiny little country inn motel that's like 3 stars and looked kind of dumpy. It was $50 a night. Those are perfect because they're locally owned, locally operated, usually a family, and they are happy to drive out to the airport and get you to stay at their hotel. So they drove the 2 miles to pick us up and drove us 2 miles back to the airport today. If we had called a Holiday Inn, well, that guy making $12 an hour behind the counter doesn't care. He's not gonna get in the van and come get you. And most of these small towns and small airports don't have airport shuttles. So use those small little motels to your advantage. Look for them. It's cool to support local businesses anyways. You meet cool people that way. And ultimately, little towns, Uber is not so common, but they often will have crew cars like this. So if you see an Impala, see a Crown Vic, go look for the keys in the gas tank, look for the keys in the car, look for the keys in all these different little drawers. And of course, call some numbers, call the airport manager, call the non-emergency number for the police, call whatever numbers you find on the board, ask for permission. If no one answers, well, take the crew car and leave a note. Put some gas in it. Feel free to spend the night on the couch. We are planning tonight to probably, based on what the weather's doing, just pull these cushions off and make a little bed for ourselves and leave first thing in the morning. We can ask people, they'll probably say yeah, but either way, just do it, and then you can always ask for forgiveness later. So better to be here, sleeping on the couch than, dead 10 miles from here. So hopefully that was helpful. I know that's kind of random stuff, but it's just some of that knowledge I've accrued over the years that I wanted to pass on to you guys, and hopefully it helps. So we'll see you guys in the next video. And Steph wanted me to tell you guys the most important part, actually.
Bring your knitting needles.
Because life is much easier when your companion is entertained rather than just staring at you on weather delays. Yeah.
And helping out with weather.
Oh, yeah.
So if you guys want to help us pay for some fuel, you can order your own custom-made knit Flight Mike Alpha hat. Send us an email, put it in the comments below. We'll mail you one.
It's really cool. They're warm, they're fuzzy. And yeah, we could
styles available.
Yeah, we could use some gas money on this trip. So anyways, you guys know what to do if you can't fly every day. Fly at mycuff.com and leave your email in the comments below. Steph will make you a hat.